All right, folks, welcome back to the Via Pinstriping page. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for watching. We are doing part 2 of this kind of scroll design with some old school elements kind of interlocked, right? Interlocked scroll with a little bit of old school, new school, I guess, kind of design elements. I'm using the Kafka number 3 scroller. This is a cutting board from Marshall's, solid piece of wood. I'm painting with alpha enamels, and I used a Stabilo pencil for my very light grid marks here. So let's get started. I got a very bold green color, so that's going to be the next portion of this design. So the idea with the secondary color, I'm trying to figure out if I want to go downward or upward with it. Let's do this. Let's go up with the first few. The idea with the secondary color is to enhance the first one. Sort of a supporting color for the initial design. And when you're doing the initial design, if you're planning on doing multiple colors, you kind of have to have that in your mind. If not, you'll put yourself in a position where it just looks cluttered. And not to say that this doesn't, you know, everybody's got their own opinion when it comes to the art. So this might already, well, okay, I'll admit, this is already a lot. But, you know, the purpose of these videos is to sort of show, mostly for beginners, what I would do if I was developing a design. So I like to go over the top. Generally, you're not going to see a lot of simple stuff. It's more fun for me to develop a kind of wild or over-the-top design. If this was a simple design, I would have been done on the first video 10 minutes into it, and we would not be having fun anymore. So here we go. I'm going to try to go down with this. So I'm just going to cut right into the center of this. All right. Almost like a sword, or as I'm sure you've heard it called before, a dagger. Almost like a dagger, right? Now these are colors that I see quite a bit. I don't do them too often, but you know, the whole purple and green. Usually you see folks like Brandon McCoy Gooch likes. I see him doing a lot of neon greens and greens with purple. And I'll be honest, they are complementary. I did have to develop that first color, that first purple, because the one I cracked open was a little too dark. You actually couldn't see it. So I added a little bit of white and a little bit of blue. Kind of gave me this almost like a violet. A violet purple. But clearly a darker shade, right? Now I'm just going over these to clean them up some. It looked a little wonky. The first run looked a little wonky. All right, so now let's go outward with it. All right, so I went up here and up there, so I'm going to try to go down with this and try to cut in between. This brush just feels way overloaded, so I'm going to try to knock some of the paint off, reduce, knock some of the paint off at the same time. Right, try to cut in right here and go in between all of this. as such. Oof, I just stuck my finger in that. Right there. But you can't really see it, so we'll leave it. I will have to clean my finger off, though. I felt the stick. Right. See? Clean that off. Right, so now I've gone out with that. Where do I want to go with it now? I think we'll end that. I'm not really fond of where I'm going with it there, so I'm just going to end it. I'm just going to come down, right? Come down here, almost like little arrow slash arms. And I'm just going to cut right back into itself. And that now doesn't leave these open-ended lines that everybody says you shouldn't have. Right. Let me make sure y'all can see that okay. Yep. Now, let's add to these loops a little bit. I think I'm going to give this a little cut in here. It's like almost like a teardrop shape, but it cuts back in, right? Just a little bit of weight on the design there. A bit of weight. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side while I gather my thoughts on the rest of the design. Again, folks, this is completely freehand. I don't know what I'm doing until I look up and make the decision on where I want to go. Right. Right. Now I put something there on the bottom. I feel like I need a little something on top. Maybe right here. Right. I like that. Because it's almost like an opening for the scrolls, right? It's almost like sometimes I consider these things almost like shrubs, right? So a tree has kind of usually like a little bit of foliage at the beginning of the tree, or at the bottom of the tree. There's usually a little something before it opens up into a branch or whatever. I try to sometimes think about that, like the things that you see in nature, I think we're used to seeing, right? So some things make sense in that form. So I have some stuff there. I need to figure out a way to work out. So I have that shape up there. So let's throw one in here. And again, like I said on the first color, if you develop some reoccurring design elements, it allows you to create something that looks more cohesive. That way it doesn't look like two separate designs. So let's go in, down here. Now, at some point, somebody asked me, why would you go up instead of down? And I think it really just falls down to like your physical hand. It's easier to go up sometimes. Just like the way my hand is, it's easier for me to pull this line versus go like that, right? And on this side, it's easier for me to go like that and then to go like this. I kind of don't know where I'm going with that, but let's try to figure it out, right? We'll figure it out together. Kind of got this little, almost like a star shape. Maybe I kind of don't want to follow that because I was thinking about doing something like that right there. Let's follow it. Let's go down. All right, let's go down. Cut in, go over, cut in, right? I think from there, I'm just gonna fling it outward. I'm gonna do a thick to thin line. Right, so I'm gonna push down there. Get very close, and I'm gonna let it get thin as it goes out. Right. Kind of gives it a little bit of quick movement. And to be honest, once I start doing that stuff, I want to do it everywhere. So we'll see what happens. I'm actually gonna have to stand up so I don't have my face right in the camera. Trying to see how it went down. Okay. Something like that. Yeah, it's pretty good. All right. And remember, I'm just adding weight, folks. The whole point of what I'm doing right now is adding weight, hoping that I am enhancing the initial design with color. Now, I really like these two, kind of like up and down. So I'm thinking of trying to create, I'll for sure throw one in here, right? So that one, I think right there would be okay. One of these in here, right? Well, I'm unsure about it, but we're gonna run it. One in there, right? The cool thing about them shapes is they can be anchors for more smaller ones that repeat underneath them. So that may be what's gonna happen once I move on to the third color. And being that I have an element that comes out here at the bottom, I can actually do some that go out from the bottom. Right, so like that. And right here. So I'm pushing down very hard and I'm lifting up very quickly to develop that. And when I load the brush for them kind of thick to thin shapes, I'm not knocking any of the paint off the tip. I want the tip to be overloaded. I want there to be a butt ton of paint on the brush. Not too much, but you know, probably, I don't know, 40% more than if I was doing a regular line. So now we have all that stuff. I'm going to work on the middle a little bit before I make any more decisions on the outward. So I think, being that I did a little teardrop shape there, I could probably get away with doing one right here. Starting in the middle of that triangle, pulling the line straight down, meeting up with the little triad at the bottom. Right? Now that gives me, you know, my center. I feel like I need some green at the bottom. I feel like it's pretty well represented around quite a bit. I don't really feel the need to do more scrolls with the green, because I feel like I got enough loops in. I think just these are just sort of finishing touches, right? If I was to do some, I would have already done them. So let's see here. I'm considering adding a little bit here. Maybe I'll do that. So I'm going to try to do sort of thin loops that go here. Just to give it a little bit more scroll feeling. So I'm loading up the brush, but I'm at the same time trying to knock some of the paint off, because what I want to do is somewhat delicate. Now again, it's a little hot in this room. The paint's wanting to be tacky. So I'm just gonna reduce over here. I'm gonna add some paint and reduce off to the side. That gives me less paint to work with. I don't know if you could see that at all, but I started paletting in a different spot, right? Knock some of the paint off the tip. And let's start on this side where my camera is in my face. Right. Just a little bit more scrolly-doly, right? I'm just following this, I'm extending it, I'm just kind of giving it more, right? Because it's the same exact shape, it's just exaggerated. So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go away from it, create this loop, and I'm going to cut back into itself. Right. So I could do the same thing over here. Maybe just a little thin something. I don't know if I want to do it on top. Or on bottom. Let's try the bottom. I'm just going to follow that other one, right? Right? See, I'm pushing lightly. The paint's a little drier. And I'm moving a slight bit quickly, right? Same brush, much thinner line. It's just kind of, all this stuff is sort of how you work the brush, how you work the paint. I'm sorry, folks, but I can't really work with the damn phone in my face, so I'm actually gonna have to turn it just to where I can make this happen. It's an awkward spot. Right. Cool. Yeah, I had to do that. It's so hard to get in front of the damn phone like that. All right, so let me gather whether or not I need anything else. If I feel like I need anything else from this particular color. I do know that I'm going to add another color, so I'm determining whether or not. Let's see here. Sometimes you just palette while you think, and you reduce while you think, so your brush doesn't dry out and get all crappy. All right. So I for sure need a little color on the bottom. And I think what I'll do is just put a couple little dots here in the middle. One bigger one that kind of goes across, and one smaller one there. Now that gives me a little green on the bottom, and maybe just a small teardrop shape up here. It gives me a little bit more green on top, which also gives me some sort of teardrop, filled in teardrop design element throughout. I feel like I could use some there. And being that I just touched the damn panel with my brush, I'm gonna put some there. Right. There we go. Yeah, that feels a little more complete. All right, folks. So looks like there's going to be a part 3 to this. If you've been following, there's a part 1 to this where I did the purple color, and now I'm going to do a brighter green, sort of a Sublime-esque green. I think this is now considered Doug Dorr green from Alpha Enamel, because from what I understand, Doug Dorr was the one that developed Sublime Green, and I guess didn't get credit for it. I don't know. That's what I heard. Things you hear along the way. All right, folks. Thank y'all for watching. We'll catch you on the next episode.